Today on Talk of the Heartland, we are going to meet a young man by the name of Mark, who served his country for years in a submarine. We'll hear from him and more coming up today on Talk of the Heartland.
The opinions of Talk of the Heartland with Mac McCoy are not necessarily the opinions of Walnut Media USA, management, station manager Janelle Reeves, any particular denomination or religion, the mailman, the church lady, or anyone else of sound mind and body. Now, here's the Talk of the Heartland with Mac McCoy on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian voice.
And thank you, Mr. Announcer. Hello, it's the 26th day of April in the Lord's year 2022. I'm Mac McCoy, and happy birthday to you. Well, or us. That's right. KCRO 100 years old today. And later on, one of the greatest presidents of the United States of all time has a little message for us, and that'll be part of our program today. So thanks for listening and tuning in, and we appreciate it. Remember, it's no accident that you're here. I've been praying for you. Here's my prayer. I just did it before I opened up the mic. God, your words through me. And if there's something you want to deliver, an answer to a prayer, a question, some type of forgiveness that you want someone to feel, use me. Just use me, use Mark, use Abby, whatever you can do. And we believe that works sometimes like that. Not every time, but I think it does work sometimes like that. All right, we have the lovely Miss Abigail in the studio, as she always is on Tuesday and Thursday. How you doing, Abby?
I'm doing good. It's really nice out today, so can't complain.
Is it? What's it like out there? Be my weather person for a minute.
Sunny, and I was walking around outside a little bit earlier, and I wasn't wearing a jacket and short sleeves, and I was comfortable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think it's going to get rainy and windy as the week goes on, but we'll talk about that. Now, we didn't hit, spring doesn't come till May, right? First day of spring, or we've already had it? Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about.
It comes in March, Mac.
Does it? Oh, so we've already had the beginning of spring?
Absolutely.
Well, the groundhog messed up because we don't have spring-like temperatures. But, if you don't like the weather in Nebraska, hang around. It'll change. And that voice you just heard is Mark Benjamin. And Mark is a resident of Omaha. But for many years, first of all, he's a follower of Jesus Christ. And that kind of is a prerequisite for anybody being on this show. But I'm just fascinated by how he served this country, and we're going to talk to him a little about that and have some of the pastor's questions for him, because you're not a pastor, but you do pastor people, right?
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, the Bible tells us we're all pastors. Even you, Abigail, you're a pastor.
Oh, thank you.
And there's no female gender for that. It's not like a pastoress or something like that. Like have you ever heard of the term sherps?
No.
No. Well, why not? Why shouldn't there be a word for multiple sheep? It's just sheep. If you have one sheep, it's a sheep. And if you have 100 sheep, it's still sheep. Shouldn't there be a single like sherp?
I'm so confused. Sure.
That's all right. That's all right.
Or sheeps.
Or sheeps. Yeah, but that's not a correct term. Anyway, Mark, welcome to the show today. And where are you from? Where was born and raised?
Hey, Mac, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's so nice outside. Maybe we could move the show out there and do it.
Well, you can. You can take your cell phones and we'll bring you in on the lines, but I have to stay in here. I'm allergic to anything over like 68 degrees.
Okay.
I like it cold.
Right on.
Yeah, there you go. So you were born and raised in, speaking of warm, Florida, right?
Right. West Palm Beach, born and raised. And then after I graduated, I went up to Atlanta and Georgia Tech on an ROTC.
Georgia Tech?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. What are the Georgia Tech? Bulldogs?
Oh, my gosh, no.
No. Oh.
We're the Yellow Jackets.
Oh, you guys are a minor league. Okay, I was thinking.
No, we're ACC. We're not minor.
Oh, are you? Well, I thought it was the Bulldogs.
Well, the University of Georgia in Athens are the Bulldogs, and we do not like them.
Why? Jesus tells you to like everybody.
Well, it's just a sports thing.
Oh, okay. Well, you got me beat right away because I'm not a sports person at all. I follow Nebraska football, but If you're born and raised in this state, you really don't have a choice. In fact, I always tell people, whenever anybody complains to me that Facebook has too much crap on it, and that's why they don't have an account, I say, every morning in my entire life, I got up and read the newspaper. And the first thing I did was rip out the sports section. Not because I wanted to read it, because I wanted to throw it away. Well, Facebook and social media is the same thing. You don't have to do everything it says on there. You can actually control who your friends are. So if you want to bust me on sports, you'll win every time.
Got it.
I don't know anything. Georgia Sherps, is that what it is?
The Georgia
Bumblebees?
Tech Yellow Jackets. I might sing my fight song.
Bumblebees.
Yeah, I'm a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech and a hell of an engineer. That's the first line of our.
How did engineers get into it?
It was
Engineering school?
It's an engineering school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a bunch of geeky engineers.
Yeah.
But while I was there, they built a business school primarily for the athletes, and it was for them almost essentially. And the rest of us engineers with our slide rulers and calculators and sticking pencils behind our ears.
Yeah, you had to take real classes.
Yeah, like 7 calculus classes.
Oof.
Now, when did you so what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I wanted to be a pilot in the Navy, and on the ROTC scholarship, it's kind of a free ride.
Yeah.
And while I was in college for the 4 years, my eyes started to get worse, and maybe too much beer, I guess.
No. No such thing as too much beer for a soldier, is there?
I'm a sailor, sir.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Watch out, Abby. You're sitting next to a sailor. You know what they say about those sailors. Do you have any tattoos of like anchors and stuff?
No tattoos.
No? Okay. So you went to school to be an engineer?
I was an aerospace engineer.
Okay.
I wanted to be.
So hold on. So Abby and I can now tell people we know a real rocket scientist.
Indeed.
Okay, good.
So as my eyes got worse, back then there was no refractory, no PRK or LASIK or anything like that.
Wait.
I was 2030, and I couldn't go into be a fighter pilot, which is what I wanted. And then the nuclear Navy started flirting with me.
Okay.
And they're waving a $3,200 check in front of me saying, hey, if you come to the nuclear Navy, I'll give you this right now.
What's a nuclear Navy?
Well, the nuclear propulsion program is in Washington, D.C. We call them naval reactors.
Okay.
And any ship that is nuclear powered, nowadays it's just submarines and aircraft carriers.
Okay.
And so there's a whole new realm when you get into the nuclear part of the Navy.
All right. Well, if you don't mind, at some point I'd like to talk a little bit about that because
Sure.
I truly do not understand that at all. You know, when I was raised, when we had a nuclear, did I say it wrong again?
Just like George Bush.
Nuclear?
You're
Okay,
doing-
when you got one of those big dollies and we were going to have an air raid or a nuclear test, you know what we did? We got under our desks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
weapons. I'm talking about propulsion.
okay. But isn't it, I mean, it's all apples and apples, right?
Well, it just depends on how you use the nuclear power.
Okay. And you used it to, you became an engineer who then, if I can skip ahead for a second, you became a captain of a submarine for the United States Marines. No. Air Force. No.
Navy.
Thank you. I knew there was only 4, so I had to get it sooner or later.
Oh my.
I wasn't going to mention the what did the other people on the water? The Coast Guard. I wasn't going to throw that in there.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Okay. So jumping ahead to my first command of a submarine, back in 2007, I took command of the USS Montpelier, stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. And it was a brand new ship, and at the time, it was the best submarine, the most technologically advanced submarine in the world. It's not now because it's been a while.
Yeah.
And
Well, they
so-
let you play with it for a while. You know?
Right. So
Got
I
that
took
duct tape, and you and McCarty or whatever his name is. What's the guy's name that fixes everything with tape and wire and stuff?
We don't do that.
Okay.
So that ship,
MacGyver.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you. Come on, Abby, keep up.
I don't know what you're referencing right now.
MacGyver, yeah. So it came fresh out of the shipyards, brand new, shiny clean, big bow on it for me. Take command of this mark, and let's take it out on a run and do a 7-month mission. And so
Wow.
jumped in. And
What year was that?
2007.
Wow. Okay. Now, this is just for my, as you can see, I need a little help with vocabulary.
Right, okay.
When you say ship, I think of something that's above water.
You know, that's a good point. In the submarine force, if you are attached to the submarine as a crew member, we call it a boat.
Okay.
A boat. But if they're not related to the submarine force, they should call it a ship.
Okay.
Well, we say boat as a brotherhood.
Okay. Why don't you just call it a submarine?
It's not that cool.
Oh, yeah. No, submarine's not as near as cool as boat or ship. Come on. All right.
Okay, so then my second command was in Guam, the USS Key West, and she was an old girl, but I used her well.
Jiminy.
And
I
after,
hope your mother's not listening to this.
she's in heaven right now.
Oh, good. They can't listen up there. When I got the job on the radio, God cut off all the speakers up there.
And then my last command was actually a surface ship that was owned by our submarine force. And we replenished these. The submarines would come alongside the ship. It's a gigantic ship with crew of 1,200. And I was the captain of that ship, and we drove that ship all over the world. And what we used it to bring the submarines alongside so we could repair them, give them more missiles, give them more torpedoes, give them more food.
Now, you were on like the carrier?
It's not as big as a carrier. It's called a submarine tender.
Okay.
And the name of it is USS Frank Cable.
Okay.
So I was the captain of that with a crew of 1,200. And
you kind of did mid-flight, mid-swim repairs on the
right.
boats.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. See, I'm getting the lingo. Doesn't take me long.
You're now in the brotherhood, Mac.
All right. This is the Talk of the Heartland, and, of course, we are on AM 660 and FM 106.7, live from the Divine Truth Studios. When we come back, I just want to ask questions, and he already told me there's some he can't answer unless he was going to kill me. And Abby cheered, so who knows what she's going to answer and what we're not. But that's coming up today. It'll be a fun time, and we're glad you're here. And thanks for listening. This is the Talk of the Heartland on KCRO.
The comments and opinions of Talk of the Heartland with Mac McCoy are not necessarily the opinions of Walnut Media USA, management, station manager Janelle Reeves, any particular denomination or religion, the mailman, the church lady, or anyone else of sound mind and body. Now, here's the Talk of the Heartland with Mac McCoy on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian voice.
All right, when we come back, I'm going to ask you your first theological question, but I'm going to ask you now so you can think about it, because this is a tough one.
Which
okay?
one?
Well, that's what I'm going to tell you which one. Man. All right, Mark, are you the son of a risen God, or are you a sinner? That's coming up today as we continue a good time in the afternoon talking about Jesus and boats or ships or submarines or just where people go. And thanks for listening to the Talk of the Heartland here on KCRO.
News Omaha on KCRO 3 times daily, weekdays at 5:30 a.m., 9:45 a.m., and 10:15 p.m. with your host, Tim Janisewski on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian voice.
Naloxone is a drug used to safely reverse an opioid overdose and is now more readily available in Nebraska. I'm Dr. Rob Rhodes, a Nebraska family practice physician. I encourage you to learn how to respond to an opioid overdose and administer naloxone to potentially save a life by getting the free Opie Rescue app for your phone. Be Opie ready, download Opie Rescue.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey, this is Mac McCoy from Talk of the Heartland, here on the Christian Voice of the Heartland, AM 660, KCRO, and FM 106.7 in Lincoln. Hey, if you have a pastor you'd like to hear share their theology and things about their church, maybe it's your church, I'd sure like to have you recommend that pastor, or maybe a friend, someone you work with, a relative, maybe a grandchild, somebody who loves Jesus and would like to talk about it on the radio. I would love to hear from you. You can call me at 1-402-819-2666. That's a recorded line we have, and you can tell me whatever you want, and I'll listen to the message. Or you can always email me at Mac, that's M-A-C, at KCRO.com. And no matter where you are when you're listening, at home, at work, or in the car, remember to write it down. We are AM 660 and 106.7 KCRO. And thanks for listening.
It seems like everyone I talk to these days is saying, I can't wait for things to get back to normal. Well, the fact is, normal isn't coming back. Jesus is. That's why our focus should be on Jesus rather than the anxiety, fear, and frustrations we're experiencing in this world. I'm Debbie Blank, inviting you to join me Sundays and Monday evenings at 5:30 p.m. so we can discuss the perfect remedy that we have for fear and anxiety.
KCRO.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Talk of the Heartland here on AM 660 and FM 106.7 KCRO. We are the Heartland's Christian voice, live from the Divine Truth Studios. I'm Mac McCoy. Abby is in the studio this afternoon along with my guest. Do I need to call you like General or Captain or?
No, I'm retired.
You're retired. So the name doesn't go with you?
It could, but I don't.
But you don't?
No.
So you don't want me to say it? Because I don't know what it is.
I'm trying to be humble, Mac.
Okay, that's okay. I'm just going to call you Boat Commander. No?
How about just Mark?
All right, Mark. All right, Mark Benjamin is here with us today, and he loves Jesus, and that's the main reason he's here. But also, he's just got a great story, and I just can't wait to ask him some questions. And I've already been told that some of them will be top secret and above my clearance. Hey, the water's above my clearance, okay? It's all out of me. But anyway, I appreciate you being here and look forward to you talking a little bit about that. Now, we did ask you your first theological question, and it was, are you a son of a risen God or a sinner?
I am a son of a risen God, and I'm a sinner. So it's not either or.
So you're both?
I'm both.
Wow. Okay. So if that was the title, you would be Mark Benjamin, son of a risen God and sinner.
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you have a family?
I do. I have a wife, married 25 years.
Wow.
And a 23-year-old son.
Okay.
And he lives with us still. He's finishing up his studies at UNO.
Yeah.
He's in the basement. His name is Mark Bradley Benjamin Jr.
All right, that makes sense.
Yes, and sometimes I throw raw meat down there like once a day. So.
Sure, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is that your only child?
Only child.
All right. Because Abby grew up in Elkhorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's looking for a boyfriend.
Oh my gosh, Mac.
Oh, okay. I won't bring that up again. I'm sorry. That's not applicable here.
This is a common thing.
He does
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I'm like her grandpa, and any grandson of mine would be lucky to have a relationship with a young lady like this. This is the real deal over here. She's a really good person, and she loves Jesus, and she knows more about the Bible most of the time than me, unless I give her like a trick question. Watch this. Abby,
Yes.
sprinkle or dunk?
Dunk, man.
See, she got it right. It was easy.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Now, here's the next question I'm going to ask you, but you don't have to answer yet. I just want to give you time to work it through. When you get to heaven, who's the first person you want to talk to? So just hold the thought. Now, I'll tell you right now, it can't be Jesus or grandma.
Okay.
Just can't be those.
Okay.
Because it's like vowels on a wheel of fortune. There's some they just put up there because everybody says them.
Yeah.
All right. So you wanted to be a pilot, and your eyesight was not where it needed to be for them. And so you became an aeronautics, did you say?
Aerospace engineer.
Aerospace engineer. So you're a rocket scientist.
You could say that.
Okay. Well, I'm not trying to make fun, but I'm gonna tell everybody tonight when I'm at Runza, hey, guess who I've had to show with today? A rocket scientist. But your love was in the ships, the boats, the submarines.
Well, actually, the going into the nuclear navy as a submariner was my second choice. And I was being flirted by the nuclear propulsion program with money.
Ooh.
And I needed it.
Yeah.
Because I pretty much lived on green beans and peanut butter.
Yeah?
Yeah. And so.
That's not bad, though.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Put a little dill weed on it, it's a real surprise.
90 cents a meal.
Ooh. There you go. But so all right, I have to ask this question. What made, and I know you'll be humble, so just tell me the truth. What made your skills or talents in that area something that they desired so strongly?
It was mostly academics.
Okay.
Because that's written on paper. But to get into the nuclear propulsion program, you have to take a trip to Washington, D.C. And see the director of the nuclear propulsion program, who was a 4-star admiral.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've heard of Hyman G. Rickover. He was the first. Yeah. He designed a nuclear power plant on board a submarine, the USS Nautilus, before we even had nuclear reactors on the ground.
Okay.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
And so he was a 4-star, and I really respect him. I've know a lot about him. I've met his wife. He's since passed. She was a nurse in the Navy, and they got married. But anyway, so you got to go to naval reactors in Washington, D.C., and see the 4-star directly. Okay. And I'm a midshipman. When you're in ROTC in college, in the Navy side, we're called midshipmen.
All right.
And so I'm a midshipman, and I'm talking to a 4-star general.
And now, okay, I was just going to ask that. So admiral and general would be the same except a different line of the service.
Right. The only service that has admirals is the Navy. The Marines, the Air Force, and the Army all use generals.
Okay.
Okay.
But they're still different.
Same rank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you have, we always hear about 5 stars. Is that a real thing?
That only happened in World War II when we had a fleet admiral, and they don't use it anymore.
Wasn't Eisenhower a general?
He was, yes.
I don't think he was 5-star, was he? I don't think so.
Well, Nimitz was the 5-star in the Navy. So right. Admiral Nimitz was the Navy fleet admiral.
Wow. Okay. That's a submarine, too.
Yeah.
Or was.
I bet there's some fact-checking going on because I'm not absolutely sure that he was a 5-star, but I think it was.
Okay, well, that's all right. We're not exact here. Are you kidding me? Do you listen to the show? We're never exact. Abby's here as my truth and peacekeeper. She takes care of everything that's has to be accurate here.
I Google a lot.
Yeah, she's over there Googling.
You can fact check me while we're doing this.
Yeah. How many stars did Admiral? No. Who did we say had 5? Maybe.
I think it's Chester Nimitz.
Nimitz. Okay. Well, that's a great name. I mean, he's been around forever.
He's dead.
Oh, well, he was around forever. Let me tell you something. He was around long the whole time he was here. All right. It is Tuesday, and this is live from the Divine Truth Studios. I'm Mac McCoy, and this is the Talk of the Heartland. When we come back, here's your question. Oh, I already gave you the question. When you go to glory, who's the first person you want to meet? And we're going to hear that when we come back. Mark Benjamin and Abigail here today with me, Mac, and thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here at KCRO.
On the next Focus on the Family, Pastor Mark Batterson shares about significant roles, responsibilities, and relationships in a man's life. He tells inspiring stories of historical male heroes who embodied what it means to be a real man and shares the importance of passing those qualities onto your son. That's on the next episode of Focus on the Family with Jim Daly.
Focus on the Family, weekdays at 7:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. on KCRO, 660 a.m. in Omaha and 106.7 FM in Lincoln.
I was just talking to Cheryl at Vandervorst Insurance, and she said that texting while driving is the main cause for insurance hikes right now. Surprised? So to make sure you're not paying too much for the coverage you need on your auto, home, and business, call Vandervorst Insurance at 330-7979. As independent agents of multiple companies, you'll make the best informed decision for your family. And by the way, to stay alive, don't text and drive. Vandervorst Insurance, 330-7979 or vandervorstinsurance.com.
David Brooks here, founder and president of Retire Smart. If something is worth doing, it's worth doing right, especially when it comes to your retirement. But how do you know whether you've done it right for your retirement? Life can be so unpredictable. You may wonder if you're truly ready. Well, you're not alone. That's why we've developed the Smart Checklist Challenge. Nearly everyone approaching retirement shares basically the same fears. Have you saved enough? Will the stock market downturn derail your retirement? Will tax increases affect your income? What if you need to go to a nursing home? Will your spouse's future be secure? Call for your complimentary SMART checklist at 402-369-7777. That's 402-369-7777.
Smart Wealth LLC is a federally registered investment advisor under the Investment Advisors Act of 1940 and an affiliate of Retire Smart. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Information about Smart Wealth LLC can be found by visiting www.advisorinfo.sec.gov and searching by the advisor's name.
Now your forecast for KCRO for Omaha, Council Bluffs, and Lincoln. Mainly clear skies and quiet tonight with lows around 48. Southerly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tomorrow, high of 78. Overcast skies tomorrow night, chance for scattered storms, lows dip down to about 54. Turning cooler Thursday and Friday with highs from the mid-60s to the upper 60s. Thunderstorms possible both days. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley on KCRO. Right now 70.
The Heartland's Christian Voice, KCRO.
It's the theological questions that we have the most fun with here at the Talk of the Heartland, whether it be a pastor or just someone who really loves Jesus. And that's the situation with my guest today, Mark Benjamin. We will talk a little bit about his service to our Navy as, well, the real deal. And there's some questions he says he probably can't answer. I'm just going to ask him, and if he can't, then just give me a little laughter behind, and say, hi, he doesn't even get to ask the questions he wants. But he's a neat guy, and Abigail's here too, and we're going to talk a little bit about ships and boats and submarines and water. But I think Abigail wants to ask him some questions about his handsome son. Go ahead, Abby.
Well, I was just curious. You said he studies at UNO, and I also go to UNO. So what is he studying? What is he
He was
doing?
majoring in business, and well, first of all, let me just a little background. He wanted to study business in Germany, so he went there first through a language course, and he spent 2 years in Munich, Germany, at the New European College.
Oh, okay.
2 years. COVID came. Student visas were revoked.
Yeah.
He came back here, went to UNO, studied business, but it's like a whole bunch of different kind of minors packed together, and I forget the name of that degree.
It's not like multidisciplinary studies?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You got it.
Told you she was smart.
She is smart.
Yeah. And what's your son's name? Mark Benjamin.
He's trying.
Mark Riley Benjamin Jr.
Okay, my middle name is Bradley, and so.
Well, how did we get to Riley?
I have no idea, Mac.
I thought you said Riley.
Mark Bradley Benjamin Jr.
Bradley.
So that was just you, Mac.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Surprise!
So to keep us straight, so when my wife is hollering Mark in the house, we call him Bradley.
Mm. So that because she didn't, my mother was that way. My first name is the letter J because my father's name was John, and she didn't want John Jr. or Big John or Little John, So she just named me Jay. And it didn't, there's no dot or anything, just Jay. How do you think I felt? All right, so you spent your career as a nuclear physicist?
I was a nuclear submarine officer.
Okay. And you told me the neat story about how you had to go interview for that gig with a 4-star admiral.
Correct.
The one that invented nuclear submarines, or nuclear-powered submarines.
No, Hyman G. Rickover was the first.
Okay.
I went to the third replacement of him.
Okay.
As they retired. They're generally pretty old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got accepted. The conversation was a little bit uncomfortable.
Why?
Well,
I mean, just only what you can.
Yeah, okay. So he has a secretary in a different room, and I checked in with her, and then she said, okay, go on into the admiral's office. And I'm standing at attention, and the admiral's got a newspaper in front of his face, and I'm standing there.
At attention.
Yeah. And he's reading.
Yeah.
And then he...
out loud or to himself?
To himself.
Okay.
And then he lowered the paper, and he looked at me, and he said, what the...
Yeah.
Are you doing in here?
Yeah.
I said, well, the secretary told me to come in. And so, I didn't know. But what he meant was...
Was he messing with you?
Well, what he meant was, why are you trying to apply for the nuclear propulsion program?
Oh.
That's what he said.
Just didn't use those directive words.
Right. He said,
Oh.
yeah, right. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, they're pretty stern.
Yeah.
They want to see if you can crumble under pressure or not. Right?
Yeah.
And I just stood there at attention, and then we go sit and wait for the answer, and I got in.
One question and you got in?
No, there were several questions.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember them all. It was pretty traumatic. It was back in, I don't know, 88, something like that.
Do you remember the one that traumatized you the most?
That opening one.
That one?
Yeah, that set the standard.
Did you ever think, well, I blew this, I might as well just turn around and head south?
Yeah, I thought so, but I knew there's also a written exam that they give you.
Yeah?
It's like
Did you ace that?
I did.
Really?
Yeah.
Good job. You're smart.
So I knew I had that going for me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the conversation with the admiral, we were on good terms.
Okay, good. Now, I just want to go back for a second. What were you like as a small boy that made you so hungry to do what you did for a living? Because, you don't do it for the bucks or the vacation time. You do it because I'm assuming because it's really cool and it's challenging.
Yeah. Well, Mac, the truth is that I was a very ornery young man all the way through college.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, all the way through high school.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All
because the Navy had the grips on me when I was in college.
Okay.
So I was raised Lutheran. I went to a Lutheran grade school all the way through with my 3 siblings.
Yeah.
And we went to church every Sunday. We had to go.
Yeah.
And so I believed in God.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't really a big part of my life. I mean, it's my own will took over.
Yeah.
And, when I went to high school, I was no longer in a private school. I'm in a public school. And
we call them government schools.
Okay, government schools. And I kind of hung around with the wrong guys. I was trying to, mimic them.
Yeah.
And I was shielded.
You're an ROTC dude.
Yeah, in college, yes.
Yeah.
And so, but in high school, it was public school, government school.
Yeah.
And it's a big change from private school. I was in private Christian school.
Yeah.
And then I came to a government school.
Yeah.
And I hung out with the guys that like to drink, race cars, and pick up pretty women.
Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of my gig.
Acorn doesn't fall much from the tree, does it?
Well, I started working when I was 14 years old at a hardware store.
Yeah, okay.
And I was making $3.
Handy Hank?
Yeah. I was making about $3.05 an hour.
Yeah.
And then my boss sent me to a small engine repair class. I got my license and I started fixing lawnmowers and edgers and things like that. And I was getting $9 an hour when I got back.
Okay.
And I bought a 79 Trans Am and we raced it.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Was it the one like Herbie and the Bandit?
It was
not Herbie.
Smokey and the
Smokey and the Bandit, right.
Smokey and the Bandit's Trans Am was 77. Mine's a 79. They look similar.
Okay, did it have the dual glass tops?
No.
No.
No T-tops.
No T-tops. All right. My guest today is Mark Benjamin, and he is a resident of Elkhorn, and he spent how many years? 35, did you tell me?
30 years in the Navy, 4 years in the ROTC.
All right, so 34 years altogether.
Right.
And you're retired now.
I am retired.
And do you have anything to do with the service at all anymore?
No.
No, you don't work at Offutt or do tours or anything there?
No.
No? All right. Do you miss it?
Well, I have a group of guys that I meet every Tuesday morning. I did this morning.
Oh, cool.
All Navy guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and there's like probably 8 of us, 9 of us, and we sit and have coffee, and I think I'm the only one that hasn't had a heart attack.
That hasn't had an heart attack.
Right. All the other ones have.
Oh, my gosh.
But I'm 54, and I'm the youngest one of all.
Yeah. Isn't that cool, though?
Yeah, and we just sit and talk and tell stories and talk about faith and, we pray for each other. It's just really cool.
Accountability partners.
Right, yeah.
You ought to bring them all on sometime.
Oh, my gosh.
That'd be fun.
Oh, okay.
Do I have to get what do they call those things so I can push the button in case they say a naughty word?
No, most of them are Christ followers. I think all of them are. Their faith journeys are all different. But we have a pastor in there. He doesn't pastor anymore.
Yeah.
He had a big church with about, I think, 500.
Wow! You're in town?
Yeah, I don't know where it was, but it's been a while. But he's a good accountability partner.
Good. What denomination? Lutheran? It's okay.
I want to say Episcopalian.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, he's probably going to kill me because I don't remember which faith.
That's all right. It doesn't matter. You got the right. You got the right religion, and that's Jesus. So we're good there. All right, now we're going to have to go and get an answer from this question that I asked you.
Okay.
When you get to glory, which is my term for heaven, right, Abby?
That is what he says a lot, yes.
Who is the first person you want to talk to? And Grandma and Jesus do not count.
I would spend a lot of time with Apostle Paul.
Ooh. Okay.
He wrote half of the New Testament.
Yeah.
And he's in jail.
Yes.
And I think he was in Rome.
Yes.
And, he's in a horrible situation. He did have interaction with others. I guess it was kind of a light jailing, light prison.
Yeah.
But he had to stay there.
You only had to catch your own bugs to eat for dinner.
But how did he get all of that in these letters to all these churches? He was obviously being fed by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
Yeah, so I would spend, I don't know, about 1,000 years with Paul.
Yeah.
And then I'd go to somebody else.
Yeah, one of the other guys hanging around. What would you ask him? What's the first thing you'd ask him? He says, Benjamin, Mr. Benjamin, you can ask me anything you want.
Well, I would...
Because I'm sure that's what he sounds like.
Yeah. So what question would I have for him?
Yeah, what's the first question that you'd ask for him?
How were you able to write these letters to all these churches in the confines of his, or whatever the room was, called a prison, I don't know.
Yeah.
And because he's not out and around, but he had Timothy helping him.
Right.
And so he was getting information from Timothy as to, how the churches are doing, right? And I don't know if the churches wrote him back. I don't think we have any, of that. But how would he know the temperature of the church if he's not out and about?
Something that let me tell you first. This is Mark Benjamin. He is an Elkhorn resident, but he spent 34 years in the armed services and spent a lot of time in submarines, and he also loves Jesus. And the loving Jesus is huge to me. That's the reason he's really here. But I love to hear about boats and ships and submarines and things like that. So, why do? Why are you laughing? Did she tickle you again?
No.
No, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Abby's here. And Abigail, you never answered that question for me. When you get to glory, who's the first person you want to talk to?
I think I actually have answered that one before.
Okay, well, I'm old and I don't remember.
Because actually, when you gave your answer, one of my top people is Paul as well. I really enjoy Paul's writing in the Bible, and I just love how black and white he is. Like, he very much to me is a definition of a guy who's living for Jesus and not for the world. But I don't know. I just feel like so many of his writings are they're so spot on with like what we're dealing with and obviously people were dealing with back then, but they're even like, I believe the whole Bible is pretty much applicable, but they're still so like applicable and like big today.
Yeah.
But like you can still read through that, and I'm still amazed at like what he went through and what he did and how he was still just so on course with like where God was leading him.
Now, we don't have an answer for this question, so there is no right or wrong. But Abby, what do you think the thorn in his side was?
You answer.
I can take a stab at it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all conjecture.
Yeah, well, we don't know.
I think he had some kind of disease.
Okay. Some people say it was eyes, and that's why he had Tim as a scribe.
Maybe.
Okay.
Some kind of disease that was perpetuating around, and or maybe it affected his eyes. I don't know, but he just mentions it in I think one paragraph.
Yeah, one. That's all.
Yeah, that's it.
Abby, what do you think it was?
Ooh, I really I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I haven't given it much thought, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was something like some sort of some sickness or something like that he was dealing with. Because I just almost feel like if it was a more pervasive issue or even more of like a deep spiritual issue, like that, it would have been maybe addressed more than in just one paragraph where it was mentioned. That to me, it had to be something that was like, obviously sickness isn't something that is just light, but in a way almost so light in comparison to other things that it can easily just be kind of brushed off.
Yeah.
Just mentioned, but brushed off.
Well, I would be one of those two that wanted to see Paul. So I think a lot of people.
He was blinded, for a while.
Yeah. He was blinded when Jesus mugged him.
Right.
And then he went to can't think of the name right now. Went to him, and he was in charge of teaching everything to Paul about Jesus.
Yeah, Paul brought the Gentiles.
Ananias.
Yeah. Paul brought the Gentiles to know Christ instead of just the Israelites,
Which he was.
Yes. And so he was the first one to get out and about and doing that. That's what I think.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take our last break for this hour. And when we come back at some point, here's your question, Mark. Would you prefer to understand or be understood?
It depends on the situation.
No. When we come back.
Oh, okay.
You're
I'm sorry.
so eager.
I am eager, yeah.
Would you, if you need to answer it now, I don't want to spoil your
to.
fun. Okay.
No,
you're not going to whimper or anything?
No,
okay.
I'll think about it on the break.
And Abby, here's your question.
All right.
You get a question too. How do you underestimate God?
Okay.
How do you underestimate God? And more from the stories that I just want to hear about the boats and the submarines and all that kind of fun stuff. All right, we're coming back. We are live from the Divine Truth Studios. This is Talk of the Heartland on AM 660, FM 106.7 in Lincoln and all around the world at KCRO.com.
The ministries you listen to every day here on KCRO all have one thing in common. They're all working to bring souls to Christ. Many of the ministries that do such a fine job of sharing the word of the Lord never know the impact they have on their listeners' lives. So today, take a minute and let your favorite program know they are making a difference. If you need contact information for a specific program, you can call us here and we'd be glad to help. Thanks for listening, and God bless.
Good Shepherd Funeral and Cremation Services staff and the owner were serving Omaha families for years before moving to South 82nd and L. Then in 2021, Good Shepherd opened a second funeral home at 3809 North 90th. Both Omaha Good Shepherd locations offer professional care and all their funeral and cremation services for more affordable rates. Good Shepherd's team will support you and your family. Good Shepherd Funeral and Cremation Services will honor your loved ones and help you celebrate their memories. Good Shepherd's online at gsfuneral.com.
Hi, this is Shelley Hall from Christ Lutheran Church in Blair, Nebraska. We're having a women's conference on Saturday, April 30th from 8:30 in the morning until 4 p.m. The theme is a time of refreshment before the Lord. Our speaker is Ruthie Thune. We would love to have you join us. $10 is the reservation price, and you can email us at office@christlutheranchurch.org. That's office@christlutheranchurch.org. Thank you.
Heartland Hope is more than a pantry. At Heartland Hope Mission, we help working poor families become self-sufficient. Many working families are struggling right now with rising food and gas costs. You can help provide these working families with food, clothing, hygiene items, and diapers by hosting a food or hygiene drive, volunteering, or donating at heartlandhopemission.org. Heartland Hope, more than a pantry.
100 years KCRO.
It's the 26th day of April in the Lord's year 2022. I'm Mac McCoy, and this is the Talk of the Heartland, live from the Divine Truth Studios here on AM 660, FM 106.7 in Lincoln, and all around the world at KCRO.com. Now, you know, I played this song just for you today, Mark. I never played this song. Can you hear the song? It's called Walk on Water. Have you watched any of The Chosen?
I have not.
Okay.
I need to.
Well, this is the theme from that. And the only place you can get it is from The Chosen. And I actually wrote them a letter to see if they would let me use it. And they came back and said, yes, there's no problem with that. Go ahead. I thought I'd get some, we've listened to your show and you're such a great talk show. We'd be honored to have our music on your show. No, just go ahead. And actually, I use that every day. But, yeah, do The Chosen sometime. And it'll be around forever. You can actually buy the DVDs now.
What's a DVD?
It's a divided ventricular doomy. Doomy's a medical word for doomy. Ventricular divided doomy. Never mind.
Digital video disc.
Yeah, right. Digital video disc.
Yes, that was painful.
DVD. Well, you're the rocket scientist, dude. You can remember whatever you want to. All right, so we have two questions, one for Abby and one for Mark. And Mark, yours was, would you prefer to understand or be understood? Now, you spent 34 years serving this country. And whatever you said you were when you were young, I think you scofflaw was, that's my word, but kind of like that, ornery. Yeah. That had to change when you got into the service. And so did you prefer to understand or to be understood?
Well, there's times for both. Like, as a captain of a ship.
Are you going to quote the songs The Bird, A Time for This and A Time for That?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep.
Abby, I want you to dance.
So, as the captain, I get mission orders. They're classified. And I need to get the crew to understand that. And
that they're classified or what the orders are?
What the orders are.
Okay.
Like what are we going to do on this mission?
All right.
So I have to make them understand. But that's kind of very structured.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I am the guy that doesn't sit in my cabin. I go around the ship to get the temperature of the morale. I know all their first names. I know their wife's names.
Wow.
And my dad told me to do that. And
Really? Yeah.
I did.
Yeah,
And
that was good.
So my XO, the second in command, hated that because he didn't have access to me. And so any paperwork that I got, I just gave to him. And I was building relationships with the crew.
Yeah.
And so I just listened. I have a bad habit of smoking cigars. And
It's not a bad habit.
There's a smoking pit on the submarine.
Whoa. Smoking pit? Okay, that's just a room, right?
It's just a space.
Space.
Yeah, we don't call them rooms.
Okay.
It's an area.
An area.
Right. It's in the farthest back of the ship.
Right.
And I would
You have like windows that you can see out of it and wave at the Russians or something like that?
No, it's not 20,000 leagues under the sea.
Oh,
no.
okay.
The only thing you can see out of is the periscope.
Okay.
So I would sit
Up
back.
periscope. I learned that from the movies.
So the guys knew.
You just hate guys like me, don't you? We watch way too many movies. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet.
Yeah, right. So the sailors learned my smoking habits, and when I would go back to the smoking pit, all the way in the back of the ship, and they would hang around me, and they would smoke too, and I would just listen to them talking to each other and talking to me.
Okay.
And it was like friends, right? I wasn't being the captain. I was just being somebody that's caring.
Yeah.
And so I want to understand people. Understanding others' needs is called community. And, community builds connections, and connections build relationships.
Yeah.
And so I had relationships with all my sailors on the submarines with only 163 people on board. Frank Cable was a little bit harder.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Time out. I thought you said there were 1,200.
On a submarine, it's 163. On this big surface ship.
Oh, okay.
It was 1,200.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Right. And
okay.
So I still roamed around the ship checking the temperature, the morale, but I didn't have as deep of a relationship with them because there's so many of them.
Yeah. 163, is that the only number for the people on a submarine?
It's somewhere plus or minus 10.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Wow. All right. My guess is from knowing you for an hour or so, you were a pretty cool boss. You can be a boss that's always putting your team down, and that's what we call the Peter principle. You bring guys around you that can never equal you, and so you're always better than they are. Or you can continually lift up your soldiers, your staff, until the point that you don't even need to be seen anymore. When I had my radio stations, I would tell people, I'm the only one on this staff that could leave and wouldn't make a difference, and I meant it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else, your job is really crucial. I'm just to oversee your jobs, and anybody could come in and do that. And sometimes that kind of humility is hard to take, but I hear that. When you tell me you'd prefer to understand than be understood, that is a sign of humility. Because a lot of people would say, no, I want you to know and you to know and you to know and you to know who I am, and I'm the boss, and I got this many stars or this many stripes. Doesn't sound like you were that kind of guy.
Right. But there is a time that I need to be understood, especially when there's a casualty going on the ship, or if we're launching weapons, or, there's under the ice. It's harrowing situations. The crew wants to see the captain in charge because that gives them confidence.
Sure.
And because they get anxiety, they get, worried about these dangerous things that we're doing. I need to be that guy that stands up as the captain, and no matter what's going on in my heart, I have to be confident and competent.
Yeah.
And they trust me.
And you can't fake it.
You cannot.
Because they'll see that.
Right.
They'll like dogs, and I don't mean that as a joke. I have dogs. My dogs can sense when I'm hurt or when I'm fearful.
Huh.
And I think men and women have the same kind of sense if they, know their people are hanging around with.
But I think it's important too, going off of that, yes, there's a time and place for both, but I even think it makes a big difference because you tried to get to know and understand all of your crew members or as many people as you could. That made it even more pivotal when you needed to be understood.
Indeed.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd have the same impact
Mm-hmm.
if you hadn't taken the time to understand people. So I think that's even just a good principle of if we're not willing to get to know people and listen to them, they're not really going to want to do the same for us when it's important.
Indeed.
Told you she was smart.
She is.
I know.
Dang.
She got all of that from her mother. Okay, and your question, young lady,
Yes.
was how do you, Abigail, underestimate God?
Yeah. So I've actually had this come up a lot recently. So it's funny you asked me that. But I think I have a bad habit of simply just forgetting exactly who God is. And I think as people in general, we tend to put God on our level and treat him like he's just another person. And what I mean by that is we forget that like we literally have a relationship and that we are calling on the God of the universe who created every single thing around us, every person around us, every organism, that I think I just sometimes forget who God is and just how big and powerful he is. Like I a lot of times will treat it like, oh, well, I mean, I don't know that God could really do this for me. Or I get shocked when he does something like over and above for me or provides for me when I'm like, why should I get shocked by that? Like, yeah, I can be grateful and I should be, but like, why do I get shocked when God's just being exactly who he is, which is more than I could ever comprehend or imagine?
That's a good answer. I'm proud of you. Good job. All right. We are going to come back and we're going to spend a little more time, if you don't mind. And if we can talk about other stuff too, but I'm just fascinated with the idea of a submarine. How many thousands of feet below? I mean, where's the trolling level?
The unclassified version is 800 feet.
800? That's not even a mile.
Not even close.
Do you ever get to a mile? Never mind. You can't answer that. 5,280 feet? My mile? 5,200? Yeah. Isn't that it?
No.
Well, tell me what it is. Don't tease me.
I can tell you we can't go down to 5,000 feet.
Oh, okay. All right. When we come back, here is your question, Mark. What happens from the moment you die until the moment you see Jesus? And then here is your question, Abigail. The church that you want to belong to, so this is not necessarily the church you belong to now, but do you want that church to be a cruise ship or a battleship? And we'll go through those theological questions as we have fun with Mark Benjamin and Abigail today here on The View from a Pew in the Talk of the Heartland. Live from the Divine Studios, I'm Mac McCoy, and thanks for listening to KCRO.
The Heartland's Christian Voice. KCRO Omaha. K294 DJ Lincoln. Regionally on 660 AM and in Lincoln on 106.7 FM. Streaming on KCRO.com. Alexa, tune in, the KCRO app, and devices that haven't even been invented yet.
Fox News, I'm Rich Dennison. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres met with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Moscow, expressing concerns over potential war crimes by Russian forces in Ukraine.
I'm concerned about the repeated reports of violations of international humanitarian and human rights law and possible war crimes, and they require independent investigation.
Russia denies reports of atrocities against civilians in Ukraine, but investigations into those claims is now underway. United Airlines is bolstering its transatlantic flights as pandemic restrictions ease.
United will resume 14 Atlantic routes and add 5 new nonstop flights to major tourist and business hubs, including London, Milan, and Nice, France. The airline is also launching 5 nonstop flights to new leisure destinations and will also increase its service to Africa.
Fox's Hillary Barsky. America's listening to Fox News.
Now your forecast for KCRO for Omaha, Council Bluffs, and Lincoln. Mainly clear skies and quiet tonight with lows around 48. Southerly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tomorrow, high of 78. Overcast skies tomorrow night, chance for scattered storms, lows dip down to about 54. Turning cooler Thursday and Friday with highs from the mid-60s to the upper 60s. Thunderstorms possible both days. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley on KCRO. Right now 70.
This week on Through the Bible, we're in Deuteronomy, learning that doing what God says leads to a life that pleases Him and brings us peace. Moses wrote Deuteronomy as a refresher course of all God commanded back on Mount Sinai years before. Come aboard the Bible bus and find out why those instructions are also important to us today.
Through the Bible, weekday mornings at 6:30 and 10:30 on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian Voice.
Let's tackle electronic waste together. Cross Electronic Recycling takes anything with a cord, battery, or a motor and guarantees secure data destruction, proper handling, and disposal so your intellectual data is never compromised. Items are dismantled, sorted, and separated, and when possible, refurbished and repaired, helping the less fortunate through Cross Training Center. Let's tackle electronic waste together with secure data destruction at Cross Electronic Recycling. Find us at crossrecycling.com. That's crossrecycling.com.
Hi, this is Janelle Reeves, Station Manager for KCRO. The Neuropath is the radio and internet ministry of Steve Gregg, a servant Bible teacher to the body of Christ. Steve offers valuable resources for free on their website. Hundreds of hours of video and audio, it's all free. The ministry continues because God provides for the show's needs through you. The Neuropath, heard daily, right here on KCRO.
The Narrow Path with Steve Gregg. Weekday evenings at 8 on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian Voice.
The Heartland's Christian Voice, KCRO.
It's a little after 5 o'clock, and this is the Talk of the Heartland. Here live from the Divine Truth Studios on AM 660, FM 106.7 in Lincoln, and all around the world at KCRO.com. I'm Mac McCoy, your host with the most. That's true. That's like a stack of wax, like we used to talk about on the mighty 1290 coil. So, but Abigail is here today, and she is participating in our conversation. I'm even including her on some of the theological questions, and she just blows me away. She's so smart. And my guest, what?
I said, oh, thank you.
You're very welcome. Your mother pays me to say that.
I wouldn't put it past her. Just kidding.
That's true, actually. My guest today is Mark Benjamin, who is a Citizens of Elkhorn, but he spent 34 years in service with the Navy, okay? And he was the captain. Is that the correct term?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He was the captain of nuclear submarines.
Correct.
Right.
You got it.
And you went to school for aeronautic or aerospace. So you're a real rocket scientist.
You could say that.
How can you be so nice? I mean, you're not a nerd at all.
I am not.
No, you're not.
I just love math, physics.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's my game.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Does your son know a lot about math and physics?
He knows some.
Okay.
But he hasn't been really taking any courses in college.
So you don't pound it down him.
Yeah, I think.
Does he know what pi is?
Yeah.
3.1415.
Yeah, we can go pi.
All right. And then your wife, does she work outside the home?
She's a pharmacy tech at Kohl's.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Kohl's. That's a great organization.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Yeah.
When I moved to Omaha, I had to find a local health provider because I have some issues, like you couldn't tell. And Kohl's have really been awesome, so I really appreciate those.
Well, that's
folks.
good. That's good.
Yeah. All right, so Abby, I want you to answer the question first.
Yes.
What question did I give you?
Cruise ship or battleship?
Oh, yeah. So when you get yourself into a church, and I know you're into a church now,
mm-hmm.
but as an adult, you'll find that you'll be one of the steerers. You'll be one of the leaders in the church, and just because I know that's what you're going to be, will that church be a cruise ship or a battleship?
Yeah, I mean, I think this question is, for me, it's really easy. Because it comes down to, like, we are constantly in a spiritual battle. So if I'm tagging along on a cruise ship, I'm not even, like, a part of that battle. It's like I'm not even aware of it. If I'm just in going to some church where they're just trying to make you feel good, or they're only preaching about, the surface level things, or, like, prosperity gospel and all that stuff, that's just, to me, it's garbage. It's not true. That's not real life. That's not what Jesus presents in the Bible. But, yeah, like, I was just having a talk with somebody the other day actually about spiritual warfare, because it's like such a big thing and nobody talks about it, and we treat it like, oh, you're weird if you like talk about it or think about it. But like, that's the truth.
I know.
The Bible talks about it. So I was like, so why should we not talk about it? But
well,
yeah.
And it's one of the reasons I like it when you're on the program, because I'm the same way. I mean, if you believe in the good, you got to understand why there's a good.
Yeah.
If there's no bad, how can there be a good? And we have to talk and have an understanding on how Satan, Jezebel, Lucifer, the devil, whatever you want to call it, impacts our lives, because it's major league.
Yeah, I actually was even just listening to a sermon this morning, and they were even talking about that, like really understanding who exactly is the devil, and like, are we in a war? Are we in a battle? What does that look like? What does that mean? And just really breaking it down and just understanding that, yeah, we're in a constant battle. And especially like once you know Jesus and you've become a born again Christian, a born again believer, you're now an active participant in that battle. Because I would say before that, you're just a passive person who's around. But yeah,
and the devil takes no concern with you when you walk with him, no matter what.
No, why would he care?
Yeah.
If he already has you in his grip, why is he going to do anything extra? You know? But yeah, so just knowing that, like, especially as a Christian, I would even argue you're going to be, living a harder life, but a more worthwhile life is what I would say. But yeah, just knowing that, like, we're constantly in a battle. So if that's the case, I need a church that's going to come alongside me and help equip me and help just put on the armor of God and just be ready to face down whatever's going to be in front of us, because there's always going to be something.
Sounds like a soldier, doesn't she?
Right. You know, a battleship has a mission.
Right.
And we have a mission that's been assigned to us.
Yeah.
Seek and save the lost.
Seek and save the lost. That's our theology.
That's the mission.
The mission. But you're talking
The
about
Great Commission, if you will.
Right.
There you go.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah, one of my favorite. Go ahead. What now?
Yeah. She added the co in front of mission to be more proper theologically.
So the Great Commission, if you will.
All right. And your question, Mr. Benjamin, was what happens from the moment you die until you see Jesus?
I believe when my body's at rest, my spirit goes directly to glory. And the body rests, and we could get in a resurrection kind of dialogue, but does the physical body raise, or does our spirits raise? I don't know, and nobody knows, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
But, I don't know if Jesus is waiting for me at the gates of heaven. I mean, that'd be nice. But I think the spirit goes directly.
Clear the deck. Here comes Benjamin.
Captain arriving.
Yeah. Yeah, and, there are so many different ways that people will answer that question. And unfortunately, and I'm going to say that, if that offends someone listening, please don't be offended. I don't mean it in a way to be offensive, but I do mean it in saying that most people only know tradition, what they've been taught, the stories, the Bible stories, whatever. Because what I have found, if you really truly research that topic in the Bible, excuse me, it has a much more distinctive thought process and what happens to your body and your spirit.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think God just said, well, you die, and I'll see you up here later. I think that's a big part of the plan. So anyway, you did good. Both of you did good. I'm so proud of you. Did you bring the gold stars today, Abby?
No, I was just going to ask if you had a gold star for me.
I got a sticker, though. I'll give you a sticker.
Yeah. I need that positive reinforcement.
Yeah, I got it from the apple
You're doing
I had
great,
for lunch.
Abby.
Oh, thank
There's
you.
some positive reinforcement.
All right, my guest is Mark Benjamin today. He spent 34 years in the Navy. Did an exceptional job, everything I can tell. He rose to a rank that gave you the responsibility for a submarine and 160, 70, 80 guys.
Right.
Did you ever work with women on the boat?
That's interesting. I was part.
That's why I asked.
Right. So,
Mark, I've never had anybody say, well, that question sucks. Why would I? All right, go ahead.
Right. So when I joined the submarine force, women were not allowed on board. Not to be assigned to the ship. I mean, women come on board like family members can do tours and things, but females weren't assigned. And so in the last, I'd say 15 years, we've been working to incorporate the ladies on board our submarines. The problem is We didn't build the submarines to have the privacy necessary to do that. But a different class of submarine, ones that I didn't command, all of the submarines I was on were on fast attack submarines. They're small, they're fast, they're loaded with lots of weapons. And so I'm a fast attack.
Okay.
And the other community is the ballistic missile submarines, which are very big, bigger, slower, and they could have some privacy. And so I was part of the task force to determine how to bring women into submarines.
Oh my gosh.
And
I'm going to write a book about you. I mean, you really served in a very interesting time. First, you were one of the first people that was in a nuclear submarine.
I wasn't
powered.
I wasn't the first.
Well, you were one of the first.
No, it's been 1950. The Nautilus was the first
okay.
nuclear
You're
powered
right.
submarine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, they've been around for 72 years.
Okay. Wow. And later on, I do want to ask you how that works because I don't know how that works, but we'll talk about that. All right. So, when a submarine has a ballistic missile, that missile fires straight up. Is that correct?
Now we're talking about what we call the boomers.
Okay.
The ballistic missile submarines.
Okay.
By the way, the fast attack submarine guys and the ballistic missile submariners, we don't get along.
Really?
Right. It's
why? Because one thinks they're better than the other.
Well, we go out and do the fighting. And
okay.
And the intelligence collection and
okay. Kind of spies.
I didn't want to say that, but
okay. All right. Sorry.
So,
I said that.
Right. So we.
The opinions of J. Michael McCoy are not those of my guests.
So fast attack submarines, you could be at home on land and go home, and a week later you're told you're going to go for months.
Okay.
And so we're ready to go, and we go fight. The ballistic missile submariners are going to kill me for doing this, but they essentially just go out to sea, they go underwater, and they hide. And then they wait for the launch signal.
All right.
And in 72 years, we haven't had to pull it.
Ooh.
And they have 2 crews on the ballistic missile submarines.
Are they nuclear?
They are nuclear.
Okay.
Yeah, so the weapons are nuclear warheads, and then they have the nuclear propulsion plant in the back. They have 2 crews, so when one goes out, the other one stays home.
Okay.
And then some number of months later, they change.
Okay.
And they can tell their schedule, out 10 years, and they can, plan things for their families and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the fast boats, it's crazy. It's just whenever something pops up, and we got to go. And so we're light on our feet, and we do most of the fighting.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question, and I respect the fact that, well, you're not going to tell me something you can't tell me. And just know I respect that. So when we were in, there's a word for it, not arena, but when we were in the Middle East, in the that area with Iran and Afghanistan and all the way back to Saddam Hussein and stuff, would one of your boats be one of those that were called in to be there?
Okay, so we're talking about the shock and awe. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And not an arena. What did they call it? The stadium? No, I can't remember what they called it, but they called it something.
Well, during the war, and we opened up with the shock and awe, right?
Right.
And so we had aircraft, we had surface ships, and we had submarines all participating in that mission.
Okay.
And it was shock and awe. I was not a part of that.
Okay. You were not yet in that arena?
I was not in the geographic area. I was on the other side of the earth.
Okay. All right. Wow, what a cool thing to say. Oh, I wasn't there. I was on the other side of the earth. Sure, that's a good excuse, honey. Tell me where you really were. All right, Mark Benjamin is my guest, 34-year leader in our Navy. And just so much interesting stuff, and I want to talk to you a little more about that. And Abigail is here, and we're doing some theological questions. And the next question I want you both to answer, what Bible character reminds you of you? So what person in the Bible, whether they wrote it or just were written about, reminds you of you? And we'll do that when we come back. Mark Benjamin is my guest. Abigail is here, and I thank you for being here. As Pastor Dodd asked me last week, he said, "You really do love your audience." And I said, "Yeah, I do. I mean, it's that kind of love. It's like I love my animals. They're important to me, and I listen to them, and they tell me things I need to know to get better." And so he said, I need to do a better job of telling you that. So if you're listening, I do love you, like Jesus loves you. And I thank you for taking part in this ministry here called Talk of the Heartland on KCRO.
KCRO is seeking partners interested in sharing God's message to our listeners. We would welcome the opportunity to discuss the mission of your business, organization, or ministry and how it might fit into the KCRO lineup. For more information, go to kcro.com and contact Janelle.
Hi, this is Mac McCoy from KCRO and Boomer Radio, and when I decided to move back home to Omaha last year, I searched for the perfect movers. You see, I'm a little particular. I need movers who value my furniture. I found and hired a company that shared my same care and values for those very personal items of ours. I chose Black Belt Movers, a locally owned Omaha company who offered me professional, honest, affordable relocation services. The team at Black Belt Movers, and they're like ninjas, wrapped, packed, loaded, and unloaded everything perfectly. How do I know it was perfect? Not a scratch, not a dent, and not one single item was lost. Choosing Black Belt Movers was a win-win-win decision for myself and my family. So whether you are moving across town or across the Midwest, Google Black Belt Movers and schedule your perfect moving experience today. And thanks for choosing Black Belt Movers.
When you drive down Main Street of any town in the country, it's not unusual to find a wide variety of churches from which to choose. So how do you know which is the right one for you? Join us when Chuck Swindoll describes the church you've longed for, Tuesday on Insight for Living.
Insight for Living with Chuck Swindoll, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. on KCRO, 660 a.m. in Omaha and 106.7 FM in Lincoln.
Hi, this is Mac McCoy recording live here in the Divine Truth Studios. Did you know you can get a Bible with your name engraved on it the very same day you buy it? Plus, we have a special gift selection of items that can be personalized and engraved while you wait.
Yes, we have that at Divine Truth.
Come visit Divine Truth just off the corner of 84th and Harrison.
Divine Truth Christian Store, where you'll find more.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Sponsored by DHHS and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Bringing the word to you from Timothy Greco Ministries.
If you trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledging Him, He shall direct your paths.
You're Bringing the Word to You with Timothy Greco, Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. and Sundays at 12:30 p.m. on KCRO.
KCRO.
It's 23 minutes after 5 o'clock on April 26th in the Lord's year 2022. I'm Mac McCoy, and this is the Talk of the Heartland here on AM 660 and 106.7 in Lincoln. And if you haven't heard, it's our birthday. And we have a president who talks to us about the radio station and helps us remember who we are. And his name is President Reagan, and he's going to be with us a little bit later. And I'm not kidding, we have a recording of him. But he was in Nebraska when he did this speech, so every once in a while he'll talk about Omaha and Lincoln, and it's kind of cool. All right, my guest today is Mark Benjamin. He is a 34-year soldier. Is that okay? Sailor. All right. That means he was in the Navy, and he was the captain. Tell me if I get this wrong. You were the captain of many submarine missions.
I was the captain of 2 submarines and a submarine tender, which is a surface ship.
Okay. And how many years did you do that?
I got my first command in 2007 and all the way to 2019.
Wow. So that's 12, 14 years, something like that. Yeah. I'm not doing math. All right. Now, so I asked you each a theological question, and then I'm going to give you, Mark, I'm going to give you a real hard question. I hope it's not too hard, but I am going to ask you a hard question. All right. So what character in the Bible reminds you of you, Mark?
The best I can think of is perhaps Moses. He was born in Egypt, and I don't need to go through all the history, but he was a great leader with a fault, and he didn't like to speak.
Yeah,
but
right.
he had direct connection to God.
Yeah,
a direct connection, and so Aaron,
him and burning bushes.
Yeah, right, and so. I mean, we all have a flaw, or flaws, and so that was.
Say if you've only got one, I want to have you buy my lottery tickets.
Yeah. So, but he recognized that, and he did something about it. And when I got on the USS Montpelier as the most advanced submarine in the world, it was really confusing. It was really new. And I needed to, take some classes, and I really, as the captain, I need to know how their systems are working so that I can monitor them. And
wow.
So, but
you're talking hundreds of systems, though, right?
Thousands.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, and in my XO, my second in command, he was kind of like my Aaron if I was Moses, right?
Okay.
I recognized the flaw. I knew I needed to fix it, and so my XO became kind of like teaching me how to do it because he helped, design this submarine. So,
oh my gosh.
So, that I would say Moses.
Okay.
I forget why Moses wasn't allowed to go into the Promised Land.
Well, he wasn't able to go in because he had not done what God called him to do, and he hit the rock with his stick and to create water. And God said, you didn't trust me enough to know that I would take care of you.
Yeah.
So you're not going to lead the people into the Promised Land. But remember also that Moses probably didn't die. He probably was just brought home.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I wasn't there. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the bus ticket, but I think that was the case.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just, a leader, 40 years. 40 years of leadership.
Yeah.
I was doing 34 years, almost caught up to Moses,
Yeah.
Right? But,
well, you're back into working today, so you can fill that gap in with this show.
Okay.
All
we'll
right.
Count it.
All right. So here's a question I have for you. I know this is a geeky question, and I don't know why, but when I met you out in the hallway a couple of weeks ago and you said you were a submarine captain, I was like, wow. I mean, that's cool because one of my favorite movies are submarine movies.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So do you watch submarine movies?
Yes.
Okay. So which one, and I've got the top 10 in front of me, which one do you think is the most realistic? And it doesn't have to be one of these. I'm not even going to tell you what they are.
Okay. Hunt for Red October.
Okay.
Crimson Tide.
Okay. Crimson Tide's number 1. Hunt for Red October's 4.
Okay, number 3 must be Das Boot.
Yes, it is.
Got it.
So what's number 2?
I don't know what order they're in. I just listed 4 submarine movies.
And why are those realistic? What makes them realistic?
It's just Hollywood. I'll tell you a story real quick.
Sure, please.
Can you look up Hunter Killer in there and who the captain was? So there's a movie called Hunter Killer.
Okay.
And there's a Hollywood star that's the captain of this ship, and he knew nothing about submarines, and he wanted to learn. So he flew to Guam, and I was on the surface ship at the time, and he wanted to meet me because he knew that I had multiple commands. And Gerard Butler, here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
So Gerard Butler came to my ship, my surface ship, and he wanted to understand the relationship between the captain, the XO, and the senior enlisted leader.
Okay.
And so we all had a lunch, and we talked to him, and he told him about it, and he got excited. And at the very end of the lunch, there's we exchange coins to friends that you meet, and you put the coin in your hand, and then you shake their hand, and it goes to their hand. It's a tradition.
Wow.
Okay. So
is that a Navy?
It's a Navy coin. So the captains of submarines get their own coin, and they can use it for traditions. And if a sailor does a good job, you give them one.
Okay.
They're
All right.
very beautiful, and so it's specific to the captain. It has his name on it, and so at the end of lunch, I gave Gerard Butler a coin.
Okay.
And he did that in the movie. He did it.
Wow.
Right. So it was the last shot. He exchanged it. And I have a grudge with him because I watched the credits to see if I got my name in there. See, there's my ego, right? There's my ego.
Well, you made a difference in his life, though. I mean, that's probably not something that would happen most of the time in a submarine movie or something like that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed submarine movies, and I don't know why. I just have. I like all right, so I'll think about that for a minute. I think everybody, and maybe everybody's the wrong word, but I think everybody on a submarine has got to be the best at who is at sea. And tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I think there's a mind thing that's going on that you have to overcome. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and obviously you can't be afraid of small places, right?
Right. Yep.
That's got to be a prerequisite. What are some of the other prerequisites?
Technical backgrounds. They have, their academics are looked at. They get screened medically, emotionally, mentally. You have to be stable. You can't be claustrophobic.
How'd you slip through? Sorry, you laid that out for me. I had to.
Yeah, so
I would have never made it.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you.
Could you imagine 6 or 7 months under the water in a tube?
No.
I don't know. I mean, I honor what you did, though. I think you're very special to be able to do what you do, but to do it like that, I just don't know.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. We do pull into periodic port calls, and let the sailors get off and buy stuff and get some beer in their belly, and we'll stay for 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
And we'll do something for the community there as well. Every time we pull in, we have something arranged with the school or an orphanage or things like that. So we do get to stretch our legs maybe 2 or 3 times in a 6 or 7 month deployment.
Oh, my gosh. Now, a lot of times in submarine movies, some of the scenes are when the submarine goes up and they're above water, and they'll come to that little catbird or bird nest, or what's it called?
The thing that's sticking up from the hull is called the sail.
No, I know what a sail is. This is where all the soldiers are. All the seamen are there. Is that called the sail? Okay.
Right.
But there's no cloth sail.
Right. This is the submarine.
Yeah.
And the sail is up here.
Okay.
And when we're driving when we're driving on the surface, we're driving from the top of the sail.
Yeah, he's taking his bottle of water and using his well, actually some people can because of the cameras.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But so all right, so that area up there is the sail.
Right.
And is that the only thing that ever comes above water, or like when you port, are there ramps or whatever that come out of the side of the ship?
No, when we pull into the port, we're going pretty slow as we're approaching the pier, and you can be on the sail, and you can also be on what we call topside, which is the top of the cylindrical hull, and the water is about 3 feet below that.
Okay.
But when you're driving fast, the water goes over the back of the topside. Yeah. So you can't be on topside when you're going fast on the surface. But once you're in going...
Who would want to be?
Well, we need to be
Man overboard doesn't count on that, buddy. You're drowned.
Right, but when we're landing the ship, we need people topside to handle ropes and lines and things like that.
All right.
I shouldn't have said ropes because we say lines.
Okay. Why? Oh, I caught that right off there.
You got to use layman terms with us.
I know it.
Yeah. Well,
shoestrings.
Yeah, there's somebody out there that caught me on that. There's probably a submariner out there that's going to give me a call.
Gonna walk up to you and say, "Hey, rope, huh?" Hey, real quick, the guys that you get together with on Tuesday, is it a Bible study or just a bunch of guys talking?
Just talking, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we tell stories of our experiences. We pray for each other. We talk about faith, and we just have a good old time.
Okay.
And
you get together in public?
Yeah,
you don't have to say where, but
okay, yeah. We go to we were at a coffee shop first.
Okay.
But those doggone cappuccino things that make all that noise, that steam noise. Yeah, right. So we went over
that scares you because it sounds like a sound on a submarine, doesn't it?
Right. So we moved our location to a grocery store that has a coffee station in it and a nice little area to eat.
Yeah.
Okay. Much quieter. Yeah.
So if you brought a guy like me, what's the term they would use for me?
Who?
Well, I'm not in the service, and I never was. So is there a term for
civilian?
Us? Civilian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Infiltrator.
Hey. I just think that'd be fun sometime. But anyway, I'm not inviting myself, but do tell me where it is.
Yeah.
And time. Actually, I have a Bible study on Tuesday morning. So if you do it out Tuesday morning.
I do my Bible studies on Thursday nights. We bring people over to our house.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. I do. I do a Bible. I've got a good Bible study if you ever want to come to it. You'd enjoy it. Yeah. Kind of a private thing. Sorry, no girls allowed, Abby.
It's all right.
All right, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, here's my question. What idols, and this is for both of you, what idols has God rescued you from? Okay? Idols are also maybe something you put above God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What idols or idol has God rescued you from? Mark Benjamin is my guest along with Abigail today, and I thank you for listening. It's no accident you're here. We've been praying for you. I hope God gives you an answer. I don't know what it is, but he'll speak through me. He'll speak through Mark or Abby, and I'm just thankful that you'll get maybe an answer to a little itty-bitty prayer, or maybe it's the one you've been seeking. And remember, if that prayer has anything to do with forgiveness, I'm here for you. That's my love in ministry is to help a man. I can work with women, but as soon as I talk to a woman to find out what the deal is, then I'll pass her on to a woman. But I love to walk with men whose life has been destroyed in one way or another, and they're wounded, they're hurt, and God somehow has given me the skills. There's no special thing here. I'm not a special person. But I am a child of God, and I guess that makes me special. But everybody like me is like that. But I do love to walk with men while they're either trying to forgive themselves or grant or accept forgiveness to somebody else, because you can't let people live rent-free between your ears. That's what the devil wants, and God says no. So if I can help you, let me know. You can email me at Mac, like macaroni, M-A-C, at KCRO.com.
Hello, my name is Walter Bowtie Williams.
And I'm Alan T. Black. And I'm David Newsom.
And I'm Pastor James E. Hunter. We'd like to invite you to listen every Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m. to a brand new program here on KCRO, AJDW Conversation.
Make sure you tune in.
Looking forward to having you joining us. Yes, please do. It'll be a blessing to have us bless you and you bless us by your thoughts.
Summer is right around the corner, and the Salvation Army of Omaha is hiring. Spend the season making a positive impact on the lives of young people across the metro by joining the Kids Cruisin' Kitchen Summer Feeding Program. We're looking for a program coordinator, drivers for our food trucks, and assistants too. For more information, go to salarmyomaha.org or call 402-898-5885. Again, go to salarmyomaha.org or call 402-898-5885.
Tuesday on Truth for Life, Alistair Begg confronts the popular notion of finding God.
This is the great story of religion. Man is out there looking for God. No, he's not. The great story is that God is out there seeking for man.
By nature, we don't seek God. We run from him. Hear more about how God takes the initiative in our salvation Tuesday on Truth for Life.
Truth for Life with Alistair Begg. Weekday mornings at 8 on KCRO, 660 AM in Omaha and 106.7 FM in Lincoln.
Now your forecast for KCRO for Omaha, Council Bluffs, and Lincoln. Mainly clear skies and quiet tonight with lows around 48. Southerly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tomorrow, high of 78. Overcast skies tomorrow night, chance for scattered storms, lows dip down to about 54. Turning cooler Thursday and Friday with highs from the mid 60s to the upper 60s. Thunderstorms possible both days. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley on KCRO. Right now 70.
100 years KCRO.
It's the talk of the Heartland from the Heartland's Christian Voice. AM 660 and FM 106.7. And I always give you the AM and FM, but you know, you can get it on any smartphone because we've got apps, and they're good apps. You can get them on Alexa or Google. And, of course, if you just go to any computer, tablet, or whatever and put in kcro.com, then you'll get our feed, our audio feed from any of those. And then the show is a visual show, and it's live right now on YouTube and several places on Facebook, as well now as, because of yesterday, we can now be on Twitter. Thank you very much for that. So we appreciate everything you do for listening every day, and I want to thank you for that. It means an awful lot to me. If you've got anything you want to tell us, and remember that I appreciate the good things that you tell us, but I also want to hear the things we can do better. I used to own restaurants, and people would say, "Oh, I love your cheeseburgers." And I'd say, well, make sure you tell me when they're not good, because that's what I really need to know. And I need to know what you think we could do better here on this show. John down in Lincoln sent me a letter a couple of weeks ago and explained to me that if I want to know what someone's path is in Christianity, I shouldn't ask them where they worship or what kind of Bible do they read or the translation. His line was just ask them, how do you respond to the story of the gospel? And can you share your story of the gospel with me? And that was great. I love John doing that. And that's the kind of things I need, and I need them from you. So thank you very much. All right, my guests today are Mark Benjamin, and Abigail is in here. And we ask a question that we're going to hit real quick. What idols has God rescued you from? And we'll do age before beauty. So, Mark?
I would say my ego. It's hard not to be... I think of ego as the darker side of pride.
Okay.
And so, being the captain, the top guy on the ship, it's hard not to build ego. And it wasn't, too bad, but I felt it in my heart that I was not humbled. And when I retired from the Navy, God humbled me. Because I went down a path that he didn't want me to go.
Okay.
I was going after money.
Okay.
And I was humbled.
Okay.
And
He'll do that.
Yeah, right. And there's a long story that we could talk about someday, but we were called to Omaha to care for the Karen refugees that live here in Omaha.
Okay.
There's about 7,000 of them around Ames and 50th, somewhere around the Fontenelle area. We had just gone to a mission in Thailand in those where the Karen refugees were living. There's like 9 different refugee camps they're escaping from what used to be called Burma, but now it's Myanmar. We made friends with them. We held their babies, and they had horrible living conditions. And when we got here, I didn't know that they were here. And when I sat down in church for the first day, on the screen it said, join the Global Impact Team helping the Karen refugees.
Oh, wow.
So God gave me, he redirected me. He redirected me, and then he gave me the affirmation. And we went to their church, my wife and I, and my wife is Asian, so she fit in. But I was the only white guy there. I was called to the stage, and I gave my testimony. The pastor was bilingual, and he could translate for me.
Yeah.
And there were 1,000 of them in the church.
Oh my gosh.
And afterwards, in the parking lot, there was 3. They were having lunch for sale, and there was 3 different types of tripe. That was what was for lunch.
Okay.
And while I was standing there, 3 ladies were like touching my arm, and those 3 people had just got here, and they remembered me from being there in Thailand refugee camps.
You? Not just a white soldier or Navy man? You?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're here.
That's cool.
We're here for a reason.
I got goosebumps.
Yep. And we love the Korean, and our church sponsors them. There's a great nonprofit called Restoring Dignity that helps them integrate into a world with electricity and running water and things like that. So that's why we're here. And I tried it again to my ego. I was looking for the glory days. I was planning to go be a cruise ship captain in Miami.
Oh.
And so I realized I was doing that to replay the glory.
Yeah.
And instead, I resigned from my job. I'm not working. Me and 2 other guys are building a general contracting company. And I didn't have any time. I was managing 3 power plants downtown 24/7, 365, providing heating and cooling to most of the non-residential buildings. And I was getting woken up in the middle of the night, and I was so busy, I didn't have any time for him. And there's a song called I Will Make Room for You. I don't know if you've heard it before.
I have.
And anyway, that was put in front of me, and I just started thinking about that. I don't have room to do what my mission is.
Yeah.
So with this new company, I can have freedom. I have a lot of flexibility. And so it's all worked out now.
Yeah.
And so I'm staying here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was doing things for the wrong reason,
Well, yeah, but see, part of having a relationship with Jesus is he lets us recognize that.
Uh-huh.
The devil just fools us and tells me what a great job we're doing, and it's all wrong. And God can't get our attention because we're all shut down.
Yeah.
So good for you. You understood it. All right, Abigail, what idols has God rescued you from?
Yeah, I think some that have kind of come to the surface in recent times have been the idol of like my comfort, and also making an idol of my family. And what I mean by that is, so my plan hopefully is to go into some sort of ministry work. I'm not totally sure what yet. I'm just kind of
radio.
I'm just trying to
radio
figure it
talk
out.
show host.
See where God's leading me.
Talk of the Heartland with Abby and Mac.
Oh, is that your vision?
I'll give you first billing.
So but just realizing that I feel like God's really just kind of brought it to my mind that wanting to do like some sort of ministry work, again, I don't know what, but like how I was already like narrowing down my field of like what I thought was possible by so much. I'm like, well, all my family's here. I want to stay in Omaha, and that's comfortable. I know this area. I know people. I know whatever. But really thinking like, if God called me all of a sudden to just go somewhere, whether that was like, an hour away or like halfway around the world, whatever it would be, would I be willing to say yes? And like at that time, I was like, oh, heck no. There's no way I would say yes to that. Like, that's just crazy. But then I'm like, who am I to sit here and say no to God? So I think like he really kind of just put that heavy on my mind and my heart that, it's not about me. Like, I matter, but I'm not the point. And like, I need to really remember that and remember who is God. And am I allowing him to actually be God in my life, or is he only God when it's comfortable for me?
Wow.
Deep.
You need to write a book.
Oh.
That's chapter 1.
Yeah, that's
chapter
great.
1. There you go.
Good job. All right, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, can I talk to you about your faith and how you were able or were you not able to share that with your crewmen?
That's a good question.
Was that going on? Mm-hmm. All right, we'll talk about that in the last few minutes here. Mark Benjamin is my guest. And Abigail, I'm Mac, and thanks for listening. We love our jobs. Couldn't do them without you. You're the listener, man. You're the most important person in the room. Right here at KCRO.
This is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live. Do you have any character-building people in your life? That's what I call the people that make your life difficult. We hate the fact that they're even in our lives, but without them, we'd never come close to what God wants for us. Tune in at 1 o'clock Monday through Friday as we answer questions on how to deal with some of the character-building people in your life.
Good Shepherd Funeral and Cremation Services is ready if you have an immediate need after the loss of a loved one. Or if you're planning ahead, Omaha's 2 Good Shepherd locations will support you and your family. Good Shepherd Funeral and Cremation Services will honor your loved ones and help you celebrate their memories affordably. You'll appreciate them. See gsfuneral.com.
Hey, this is Mac from Talk of the Heartland, and I want to tell you thanks for listening. I love this job, and I couldn't do it without you. And there's many ways to listen to us. You have Facebook. You have KCRO.com. Plus, you've got our, if I may say, world-famous app on your phone that you can hear us anytime, fully digital. And don't forget smart speakers like Alexa or Google. We just want you to listen. And no matter where you are when you're listening, at home, at work, or in the car, remember to write it down. We are AM 660 and 106.7 KCRO. And we want to hear what you think about what we do. So call me at 1-402-819-2666 or email me, Mac, like macaroni, Mac at KCRO.com.
Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you.
Dr. Tony Evans says experiencing real intimacy with the Lord requires an investment.
If the only worship God gets out of you is on Sunday morning, you're not near to God. You just visit Him occasionally.
Finding victory in spiritual warfare. This week on The Alternative with Dr. Tony Evans.
Tony Evans, weekday evenings at 7:30 on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian voice.
KCRO.
It's 9 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour, oh boy, Adventures in Odyssey. Grab the kids, Grandma. This is something that all the kids can listen to. It's great stories, Bible stories with characters, and we do it every single evening at 6 o'clock. It's called Adventures in Odyssey, and the only place you can hear it is here at KCRO. Few minutes left, and I want to introduce you once again to my special guest, Mark Benjamin. He is lives here in Omaha now and spent 34 years serving his country in the Navy, and he captained, that would be right, correct, captained submarines. So, and Abigail is here too. She's always welcome here. So what was it like, a person of faith, being, and I'll use your tube, being in a tube with 160 other guys for months and months at a time? How was your faith able to come out? Could you witness to people? Was that looked down upon? Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. We don't bring faith into the general crew, but they are allowed to worship. And we bring aboard what we call lay leaders.
Lay leaders,
right?
Okay.
So it's somebody on the submarine that has faith and wants to lead essentially a Bible study.
Chaplain?
No, what they call them lay leaders.
Okay.
So chaplains, but that's a good question. I mean, chaplains are officers, okay?
Okay.
Lay leaders are enlisted.
All right.
Okay, there's a difference.
Okay.
And so on submarines, we didn't have enough people to rate a chaplain.
Okay.
But an enlisted man that has faith goes through a course, passes it, and then he gets, I guess, endorsed by a chaplain.
Okay.
And then he comes back. And so you got Protestant, Catholic, and then Jewish. Jewish, yep. And any other ones. And, it's crazy what the guys do, like Wiccan. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
And
I know.
So they do that stuff.
I know.
And but it's their decision. They're not forced to go. And we don't normally bring up Christ in day-to-day operations.
Okay.
Because it may offend somebody.
Correct.
Right? So, but, doing it. And so on the Frank Cable, the big surface ship that I commanded with a crew of 1,200, we had 2 chaplains and several enlisted their rate was called religious personnel, RPs.
Okay.
And so we had amazing services there.
Oh, I bet.
Like on the bow of the ship on Easter.
Oh.
Can you imagine? We're out there
Yeah.
sailing, and
Oh.
so that's how we handle
Sailing into the sunrise, I would imagine.
Or yeah.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful up on the bow. And anyway, my chaplains still keep in touch with me. I just got a note from him yesterday. His name is John Miyahara. Just shout out to him.
Yeah.
And good friends. And he's a great chaplain. And he tolerated me, and he kept me grounded. Another accountability partner,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
So that's how we handle faith at sea.
Okay. That's a great story. I love that. Abigail, how do you handle faith in school? How do you handle when you're in government schools? Of course, now, well, you're at UNO, so
Yeah, it's
that's
still
a
a state
government
school.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you handle faith in that arena?
Well, and it's especially interesting because my minor's in religious studies. So I'm taking a bunch of, religion, faith, if you will, air quotes, classes. I say that because I take it all with a grain of salt because they are not ones that I would really put a bunch of stock into, if I'm being quite frank about it. But I think the key thing is even going through some of those classes and having professors who are professed non-Christians trying to teach Christian courses and tell me who God is and what the Bible is and how I should be responding to it. I think that has I've dug deeper into my own faith, and it helps me understand why I believe what I believe. And I'm now able to quote unquote compare that with other religions. And even still to me, it's just so abundantly clear that having a relationship with Jesus, Christianity, that basis is the only religion that makes sense. I was just talking about this with somebody the other day that I was honestly, everything about God and what he's kind of presented to me is it's very logical. It just makes sense. The only thing to me that is radical in the sense of the word is that God would give up his own son to die for us. The kind of love God has is the only thing that because to me, I'm that's radical. That it doesn't make sense that he would give up his son to die for us. But I feel everything else of who God is and all he's done is it makes a lot of sense. And I just don't see how people can easily just refute that or just try to wave it off without it. That's a soul changing thing. That's a heart changing thing. But yeah, I think honestly, just trying to figure out why you believe what you believe and then going from there and sticking with that and having the gumption to be no, in the face of somebody trying to tell you that, your God or your religion is hateful or it doesn't make sense, or just having the gumption to stand there and be look, I know who my God is and this is who he is.
Okay, can I say something grandparentish?
You may.
Okay, you're going to know, I can almost promise you this. The first time you hold your own child, you're going to know that you'd give up your life for it. And that's how God felt. Because he called us as his children. He adopted us into his family. And I completely understand where you're coming from. How could God have done that? I remember the first time I held my oldest daughter, and your life just changes. And you will do anything you can to protect them. And you've got a mom that's like that, so you know that.
Yeah. But even just thinking about it, I was God, man, it just makes so much sense. To me, it makes why wouldn't it make sense when he's literally created everything? He's created us, our minds, science, if you will, all that. So it all just supports who he is and what he's done.
Well, we appreciate you coming in today, Abigail. As always, you're welcome. And Mark, it has been a pleasure meeting you.
It's an honor. Thank you, sir.
Have you had fun?
Absolutely.
You're welcome back here anytime. I'd love to meet some of your other men or women who were in the service with you. We could not talk about what you guys do for this country enough. So anytime you can, just don't bring me an atheist because I'll shame him. I'll pity him. I won't.
Yeah, you got it.
I'll give him the gospel, though, I'll tell you.
Amen.
All right, I want to end today's show with a interesting song that comes to you from some people you've probably heard of, but that's not what's important. It's part of the Bible, and I want to share that with you here. I'm Mac McCoy. I'll see you in 22 hours, and if you can't find me, just follow Jesus, because I'll be with him on KCRO.
Together with Pastor Chris and Pastor Stephen on Thursday to just go in after the presence of God and try to pen lyric and melody. And after a couple of hours, it just felt like the presence of God just stopped everything. And we wrote a song called The Blessing. And it's straight from Scripture. And it's the heart of the Father over us as his kids. And we're going to sing it this morning, if that's okay. And this is a blessing over you and your family and your children. So just receive this morning. Just put your hands out in front of you. Turn your heart to a place of just receiving the blessing of heaven from God himself over you this morning.
The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you.
Lord, thank you for the blessings you give all of us. And thanks for listening to KCRO Omaha.